Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the MLB slate on DraftKings and Yahoo for Friday, May the 17th. Full 15-game slate for Friday night. Should be a fun one. We got a lot of good pitching on this slate. We got DeGrom, Scherzer, Cole, Hamels, Rich Hill, Frankie Montas. Just some of the options we have at the top. There's some good value as well that I do like at pitcher. There's some cheap arms like in the 6K range that I think are in really good spots that we're going to talk about. And obviously, since it's a 15-game slate, there's going to be plenty of high totals, plenty of stacks we want to go to. Angels with an over 5 implied run total. There's a couple more teams with a high total. Indians 5.2, Dodgers 5.1, Astros 5.1. So we got plenty of ways to attack this slate. I'm going to talk about sort of my favorite way to go. If I'm just building like one lineup today, what's the way that I'm going to be going on the slate? I do play about 20 lineups a night, though, on DraftKings, so I don't just play one lineup. I do play about 20 lineups. So I'll be sure to touch on the guys that I'm going to be playing across my 20 lineups, and then like my core, the guys I expect to play the most of. We'll work our way through the pitcher player pool. We'll talk about all the pitchers that I'm going to be targeting today. We'll look at some hitters. We'll go over stacks that I like, and then we'll talk about BVP towards the end of the video. Just before we do get started, guys, I would appreciate it if you would drop a like on the video, and if you are new to the channel, make sure you click that subscribe button down below. Would really appreciate it if you would subscribe so that way you won't miss out on any of my new videos. So we're going to start off on DraftKings with the top 3 pitching options today over 10K. We got Jacob deGrom at 11.4 against the Marlins, Max Scherzer at 11.1 against the Cubs, and Garrett Cole at 10.7 against the Red Sox. So this slate in general, towards the top, like when you look at the top, Jacob deGrom just really stands out to me, just really headlines the slate here at 11.4 against the Marlins. It's hard to not have a ton of interest in deGrom in this matchup with the Marlins. He's already faced them twice this year, has absolutely mowed them down. His last start against the Marlins, 7 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, 8 strikeouts, 30 DraftKings points. The first time he faced the Marlins this year, 7 innings, 3 hits, 14 strikeouts, 45 DraftKings points. We obviously know deGrom is probably the best pitcher in the league right now. He's just so talented. It's a great matchup. It's a Marlins team that's just so bad. So many strikeouts in this Marlins lineup. Low 2.5 implied run total. That's by far the lowest on the slate. It's a great pitcher's park as well, pitching in Miami. Great spot for deGrom. I expect him to be able to just mow down this lineup. So I'm going to be paying up for deGrom as much as I can today. And like I said, there's some cheap pitchers that I really like that we're going to talk about. You have Scherzer and you have Cole for a little bit less. Those are some guys that I'll probably mix in across my 20 lineups. Garrett Cole, though, honestly might just be someone I totally avoid. I just don't know if I really want to play him against the Red Sox, especially since he's 10-7. Like, I would just try and find $400 to play Scherzer against the Cubs. That just feels like a much safer spot. And I don't know, given this matchup with the Red Sox, I don't know if the upside's really there for Garrett Cole to make me want to pay that price tag for him. If he was a little bit cheaper, maybe I would have some interest, but if I'm paying at the top, deGrom is by far my favorite option. The guy I expect to be the heaviest on. I imagine deGrom's going to be my highest owned pitcher on Friday night. And then Max Scherzer I'll have some of at 11.1, but I expect to have a lot more deGrom. And then you have these mid-range guys. You have like Cole Hamels, Rich Hill, Frankie Montas, Martin Perez, etc. The guy I really like in this mid-range is Frankie Montas. His matchup is just so good against the Tigers. This is a Tigers lineup that strikes out a ton versus right-handed pitching. It's a very bad lineup as well. A low 3.9 implied run total for the Tigers. Montas is priced, though. That's the only reason I don't have like a ton of interest in him. He's going to be someone that I do put in my player pool and I expect to get in some of my lineups, but I'm not going to have like 40 or 50% Frankie Montas just because at 8,800, you're going to need him to put up like a close to 30 DraftKings point score for him to be a good play at this price. I imagine deGrom's probably going to go for 30-plus DraftKings points. Obviously, Montas in this matchup could put up 24, 25 DK points, but at 8,800, you kind of want him to go for nearly 30. I don't know if he has that kind of upside in him. He's not really a guy that gets a ton of strikeouts, even though this is the Tigers team that strikes out a lot. I'd say you're more likely going to get like 20, 25 out of Montas than 30. So that's the only reason he's not someone I'm going to go too heavily on today. But he's definitely someone that will be in my player pool that I do like getting into some of my lineups. But going a little bit cheaper, looking in this 8K range, I think both pitchers in this Pittsburgh-San Diego game make some sense. Joey Lucchesi and Jordan Lyles, 8,200, 8,100. I like the matchup for both guys. Lucchese's facing a Pirates team that actually does strike out a decent amount versus lefties. Lucchese has the upside here, and then Jordan Lyles facing a righty-heavy Padres lineup. I do like him as well. Low total in this game, 3.2 implied run total for the Pirates, 3.9 for the Padres. Both pitchers in this game make some sense to me. So those are two guys I expect to leave in my player pool, and I expect to get some of in my lineups. But now I want to talk about these cheap arms, these like value plays that we could look to. So there's about 4 or 5 guys like 7K and below that I think are playable today. First off, these 3 right here: Aaron Sanchez against the White Sox, Jeffrey Rodriguez against the Orioles, and Merrill Kelly against the Giants. I think all 3 of these guys as value plays to pair with DeGrom make a ton of sense. And I would say my favorite is Merrill Kelly at 6,700. I really like him here at home against the Giants. He is very cheap on Yahoo as well. He's all the way down here at $31. He makes for a great option to pair with Jacob deGrom. If you pair them up together on Yahoo, you're left with $13 remaining per player, which you should be able to work around. And then on DraftKings, you're left with close to $4K remaining per player, which you should also be able to work around. So Merrill Kelly going to be facing a Giants team that we know is just so bad, one of the worst offenses in the league. Plenty of strikeouts in this lineup as well. Merrill Kelly's definitely not like a guy that's going to go out there and get 10 strikeouts. He's just not that kind of pitcher. But in this matchup with the Giants, we could easily see him go for 6-7 innings, get 6-7 strikeouts, maybe give up a run or two. I think 20 to 25 DraftKings points is definitely possible for Merrill Kelly here. He's gone for 20-plus, actually 2 times this year. Against the Red Sox, he went for 31 DK points. Against the Pirates, he went for 21 DK points. I think 20-plus DK points is a pretty good projection for Kelly in this matchup with the Giants. I just love taking pitchers against the Giants, taking pitchers against the Marlins as well. That's just something I've done all year, and I'm going to continue to do. So I really like Merrill Kelly as a cheap option to pair with DeGrom. Also, you have like Jeffrey Rodriguez, who I think is a good play, a good cheap play at home against the Orioles. I think Aaron Sanchez against a strikeout-heavy White Sox team makes some sense at 6,900. And then obviously Kelly at 6,700 I think you can go to. CC Sabathia at 7,100 is probably someone I'm going to get a small percentage of. He's going to be somebody I leave in my player pool. I don't think I would play him over some of the other guys like Sanchez and Rodriguez. But Sabathia, I wouldn't mind. Trevor Richards at home against the Mets, I don't think is the worst play. But he's probably down there with Sabathia as more like secondary options. Don't think they're going to be a part of my core. So that's kind of where I'm looking to for pitcher today. Talking about like punt plays, if you're really going cheap, I guess you could look to like a Matt Harvey at home against the Royals. I don't think that's the worst value play. It is a Royals team that does strike out versus right-handed pitching. Obviously, Harvey is not a good pitcher. He's not someone you expect to go out there and get a ton of strikeouts, but it is a good matchup at home against the Royals, a pretty decent pitcher's park, low total for the Royals, relatively, I guess, at 4.4 implied runs. Pretty decent weather, 65 degrees, not too humid either. So Harvey as like a punt play you could look to, but if you can, I would just try and find the like 500, 600 bucks, get up to Kelly or get up to Rodriguez or Sanchez. I don't think you need to go this cheap today at pitcher. I just don't think these guys down here have the upside to make me want to roster them. So that's kind of where I'm looking to at pitcher today. I'm pretty sure I covered pretty much all the options I'm going to be playing today that I'm going to have in my player pool. So now let's talk about some hitters that I'll be looking to. So I do like the Blue Jays as a cheap stack again. I used them quite a bit on Thursday. We'll see how that goes. That game's like about to start as I'm recording this video. They have a 4.6 implied run total today versus a Von Nova. Von Nova is a pitcher that I've just been stacking against all year. I just don't think he's that good. Doesn't really get strikeouts. He pitches in the zone. He will give up home runs as well. And there's actually a pretty decent amount of power in this Blue Jays lineup. Vlad Guerrero Jr., Justin Smoke, Rowdy Tellez, Grichuk, all those guys have pretty decent power. Rowdy Tellez I really like at 3,700 on DK as a value first baseman. He will probably come in a lot lower owned than he should be on this slate, especially because Justin Smoke's only like a couple hundred more, and a lot of people are just going to play Smoke. But I really like Tellez for a little bit cheaper. He's 14 on Yahoo. I think Smoke is 17 on Yahoo. And on DraftKings, Tellez is 3,700. Smoke's 3,900, I believe. This is a guy that does have a ton of power, especially versus righties. Already does have 6 home runs on the year. And now he's facing a right-handed pitcher in Von Nova, who gives up a ton of home runs to lefties, who doesn't get strikeouts, who's going to throw the ball in the zone. This is a really good spot for the Blue Jays, and I really like Rowdy Tellez as a value play. I think he makes a lot of sense at first base, and I think the Blue Jays stack today makes a lot of sense if you're looking for a cheap stack to maybe pair with some expensive pitching. And then going on to second base, another team I'm going to be targeting quite a bit today is the Indians. And I really like Jason Kipnis as a cheap value. He's only $3,300 on DraftKings. He's very cheap on Yahoo as well. He's all the way down here at $11. So Kipnis has not been that good this year, just in terms of hitting. I don't think he even has a home run on the year. But he is projected to bat second for an Indians team with a 5.2 implied run total versus Dylan Bundy. Dylan Bundy is a pitcher that struggles with lefties and righties, will give up some home runs. Kipnis, like I said, has not hit a home run yet this year, but if you look at the DraftKings game log, he's been able to produce for you. He's been getting steals. Last 4 games, he's got 2 stolen bases. He's been hitting the ball well just as of late in terms of average. He's been getting hits, which is something we'd like to see. Double-digit DraftKings points in 3 of his last 4 games. Batting towards the top of the order for this cheap against a pretty mediocre pitcher. I really like Jason Kipnis here at $3,300. He's a very good value play today, in my opinion. If you're just stacking up the Indians, he's just somebody that's going to find his way getting up into your lineups with how cheap he is. Also, really like Francisco Lindor. He's probably one of my favorite bats on this slate. He's $4,500 on DK. He's pretty expensive on Yahoo at $21, but I still think he's a great play over there. So Francisco Lindor, pretty much the same thing can be said for him as it is for Kipnis. Great matchup with Dylan Bundy, facing a pitcher that gives up a lot of home runs. Just not that good of a pitcher. He's facing a pretty healthy Indians team right now that has some power at the top. Lindor, Carlos Santana, Cargo. You still have Jose Ramirez in there, batting 5th for $4,300. I think Jose Ramirez is a good option today. You got Jake Bauers for cheap at $3,500. This is another stack that I really like that's very cheap. The Indians are a very cheap stack today, and I think they're in a really good spot against Dylan Bundy. So love Lindor, love Kipnis, love stacking this team as much as you can. I think they're in a great spot, and with their price tag on DK, I have a ton of interest in them. So these are my 5 plays for today, guys, for DraftKings and for Yahoo. Now let's go ahead and talk about some stacks that I'll be going over. Then we'll look at BVP plays before we end the video. So my favorite stack, when you factor in the prices, I really like the Indians on DraftKings. Their price tags are just so cheap. I think they're going to be able to put up runs here versus Dylan Bundy. So they're a team that I'm going to be looking to quite a bit. I mentioned the Blue Jays versus Ivan Nova. I really like the Blue Jays here. They are also very cheap. They make it pretty easy. Like, you could do a 4-man Indian stack, a 4-man Blue Jay stack, and still play Jacob deGrom today, which is something I'm probably going to be doing quite a bit of. So I really like going to the Blue Jays versus Nova. I think if we go back to the top to some of these earlier games, some of these early start games, you do have the Astros with a 5.1 implied run total versus Rick Porcello. I think the Astros are a better team than Rick Porcello is a pitcher, so I think Porcello kind of gives out here. I think this is a spot where the Astros can get to him, so I don't mind some Astros bats. They are very expensive, though, so they're probably going to be a secondary stack for me. I'm really going to try and prioritize pitching on this slate, but I do like some Astros if you're maybe going cheap at pitching and you want to fit in an expensive stack. Also, the Dodgers in Great American Ballpark versus Desclafani, 5.1 implied run total. Pretty expensive stack as well. Like Peterson, Muncy are both $5K. Justin Turner's $4,900. Bellinger's very expensive. But maybe if you're going cheap at pitcher and you're fitting in an expensive stack, I think the Dodgers are a team that you could look to. And I would say one more cheap stack I do like is the A's versus Daniel Norris. Guys like Simeon, Chapman, Davis, Piscotty, these guys are so cheap today. The most expensive player in this lineup is Matt Chapman at $4,200 and then Davis at $4,100. And then everyone else is $4K or below. So that's another cheap stack you could look to. The Indians, the Blue Jays, and the Athletics. 3 teams you should definitely write down as value stacks. Those are teams I want to be mixing in quite a bit with my expensive pitchers. But those are probably my favorite stacks to target today when you factor in pricing. I don't want to go too heavy on a bunch of teams. I think I'm actually, even though it's a 15-game slate, I think I'm actually going to keep my stacking relatively concentrated and not stack too many teams today. Probably 5 or 6 teams I'll have a part of my 100% stack percentage. Most of the teams I already mentioned, those are the teams I'm going to be throwing in there. That's it for stacks today. Let's go ahead and talk about some BVP now before we end the video. So there's actually quite a bit of BVP plays today since it is a 15-game slate. But I'm just going to cover the ones that really stand out to me. So we'll start off with Kevin Kiermaier, 5 for 16 off CC Sabathia, 2 home runs against him. Freddie Freeman, 5 for 13, 2 home runs off Julio Chassin. Randall Grichuk, 4 for 10, 2 home runs off of Ivan Nova. I do like Randall Grichuk quite a bit if you're stacking the Blue Jays. Freddie Galvis as well as a cheap shortstop. Makes sense if you're stacking the Blue Jays. He's gone 8 for 15 with the home run off of Von Nova. Those are just some of the BVP plays that really catch my eye. George Springer, 5 for 12 with a home run off of Rick Porcello. If you want to look at all these, you can pause the video here and look at all of them, but I'm just going to cover the ones that stand out. So I think that's it for BVP, guys. I think that is it for the video. Hopefully you did enjoy this video, and hopefully it did help you. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you click that like button down below before you get out of here. I would really appreciate it. And make sure you subscribe if you have not already. If you do have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below, or like always, you can hit me up on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT if you do have any questions. I'm always active on Twitter. My DMs are always open, so feel free to message me over there. But yeah, guys, I think that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed, and we will see you in the next one. Good luck tonight, guys.